Let's go back and take a look at the main event on Friday afternoon. The 3-year-old fillies took center stage in the Black-Eyed Susan. This was the field, 1.125 miles on the main track. You had a field of 9. Unfortunately, again, sloppy conditions. No breaking news there. We know how bad it was all week down there in Baltimore. Red Ruby was an interesting horse coming in. She was nearly the favorite, just 10 cents off the favorite, actually, when it was all said and done. The favorite was Sarah Street, bet down to 5-2. Another 5-2 shot was Red Ruby, who we hadn't seen for quite some time. Had a little bit of a hiccup, took a while to get back to the track. Coming in here with a light work tab, but it sounded like she was looking good down in Keeneland prior to this effort. We'll find out. Did she actually get the job done? Dave Rodman with the call.
And it's Red Ruby who rolls her home from Coach Rocks. Red Ruby, Coach Rocks. It is 5 lengths back to the others. Remember, between horses, Stakes on the plane, trying to run on for a share. Good One Honey on the extreme outside. It's wide open for third. Red Ruby pulling away and shifting over to the rail under Paco Lopez. Red Ruby at the 16th pole with a solid advantage now, and she's going to win the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes. Red Ruby. Sharpened victory. Coach Rocks was second.
Red Ruby, much the best, winning this year's Black-Eyed Susan. Pays $7.80 on top. Coach Rocks was the pace setter. Look, no match for the winner, but very clearly second best in this spot as the 3-1 third choice. And then Indy Union for Jeremiah Englehart, coming from well off of the pace. It just kind of is what she is at this point. Runs third, a graded stakes placing, always valuable at odds of 11-1. Let's talk a little bit more about the winner, shall we? Red Ruby is 3 of 5 lifetime, $283,000 in career earnings, owned by Sandra Sexton, Brandy Nicholson, and Stephen Nicholson, trained by Kellen Gorder. An impressive training job from Gorder to get her ready to go with such a light foundation as far as workouts are concerned, and so much time between races. Bred by Hargis Sexton, Sandra Sexton, and Silver Fern Farm LLC in Kentucky, ridden by Paco Lopez, and the pedigree by Tisnow out of a Rubiano mare named Caroni. 89 buyer and 112 time form U.S. rating as far as this race is concerned for Red Ruby. She came home in 12:63, so certainly she was finishing nicely in this spot. She was late to change leads. I don't ever like to see that. It's also worth noting 2 of her best races have come on a wet racetrack, so it's hard to ignore the fact that she likes off-going. And even with that fact, she still isn't that fast, and I guess that's the tough thing that I have looking at this race. It always feels like, to me, the Black-Eyed Susan is the race of the 3 big graded stakes races for the 3-year-old fillies that are run on these big weekends, the Derby weekend, Preakness weekend, Belmont weekend. It's always sort of the weakest one because it's many of the horses that weren't good enough to get into the Kentucky Oaks, and it's for the horses that, you know what, if they were that good, you've got the Mile Acorn coming up at Belmont Park, which is a grade 1 as opposed to this. It's one of those instances where this one, unfortunately, gets a little bit lost in the shuffle. And Red Ruby is a nice horse. I'm sure down the road she'll be able to do some good things and be competitive in some races. But plain and simple, she's going to have to improve from a speed figure standpoint if we're going to be looking at her the same way that we look at some of the big girls. We look at the Monomoy girls of the world. We look at the Midnight Bisous. We'll find out Dream Tree. She'll be coming back relatively soon as well. So I think Red Ruby's going to need to up her game, but a very, very good win here. And again, obviously very, very valuable graded victory here for her at Pimlico. The horse that you have to just draw a line through this race entirely is Good One Honey. Good One Honey was heavily fancied coming into this. A lot of people thought she was an interesting candidate in here. I happen to agree. I thought she was probably the most talented of a bunch of horses that I didn't think were particularly strong. That's why I took a shot with a 30-1 horse that ran like a 30-1 horse. But Good One Honey was pinched back badly at the start. She was a little bit slow to get out of the gate anyway. And then she was impossibly wide throughout for the rest of the run. Considering she's only started 3 times, what she had done in the first 2 starts against inferior company, I understand. There is more there to this horse than what we've seen so far. And certainly you didn't get a representative effort from her on Friday afternoon. So to me, you just completely draw a line through this one for Good One Honey. She's better than what you saw on Friday. And I think there is going to be an instance. I'd be very interested to see where they ultimately bring her back because I think Good One Honey is a legit talent, and I think she could fit in with a couple of different spots. I don't know what a real sort of game is going to be. Is she going to be a 1-turn horse? Is she going to be a 2-turn horse? But nonetheless, you absolutely just need to strike this one out of her past performances because she had too many things go against her in this spot. But take nothing away from the winner. The horse that was clearly the best on Friday afternoon was Red Ruby for Kellen Gorder, 89 buyer, 112 time form U.S. rating.